Hey everybody, Norm over here, and I've got a real serious part of history right here of LA's music history, now part of Australia's music history.
Part of the train wreck, the wrecking crew.
The wrecking crew. That's Louie Shelton over here, and Louie has played on so many fantastic tunes, Monkeys.
I did.
Jackson 5. Nice. How about some others?
But that was on a Telecaster, not a jazz box.
But those are the notes, though,
yeah,
right?
That's right. Part of them, yeah.
And you did Seals and Crows.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Tell us some more. And you moved to Australia. You got out of here. What was the deal? You didn't like the weather or the traffic?
I love the fishing and golf in Australia, and the weather and the people. So,
all right.
That's a good combination.
I didn't do anything that prompted you to leave or anything like that.
No, but now I sit over there and drool when I'm looking at you on YouTube and all these great guitars, saying, man, I got to get back there and check some of that stuff out.
Well, I sit here and drool too, but it has nothing to do with that. It's just my age. I'm kind of circling the drain, as my friend says, at my age. But so tell us about some of the other stuff that you did.
I did the Marvin Gaye Let's Get It On album.
Wow.
We did the Neil Diamond stuff. Boss Gags. I did Low Down.
Low Down is one of my
Silk
favorites.
Degrees album. That stuff.
Nice.
Who else we do? I go all the way back with the Carpenters. You know, We Only Just Begun and Close to You and all that stuff.
Fantastic. Beautiful stuff. Some of the most melodic stuff ever.
I did the Partridge Family stuff.
Cool.
Me and Larry Carlton and Tommy Tedesco.
And Tommy was an old buddy of mine.
Yeah.
Tommy was a character.
He was.
You got any Tommy stories?
I do, but I think we would get kicked off the internet if I told him. That's unfortunate.
Tommy came into my store one time and he goes, all my stuff's in storage and I need like a cheap classical to do a session. He said, what do you got that's cheap that I can buy that's just going to get the job done? So I said, Tommy, listen, I just bought this guitar. It's no name, but it happens to play good and sound good. You can have it for $100. Tommy said, I'll play you gin for it. I'll give you either $200 or nothing. And I figured I wasn't into the guitar for very much, and I figured it was just to be able to say I played a card game with Tommy.
Yeah.
I figured I'd do it if I lose the money. I had a good story, but I beat him and he paid me $200. So, but Tommy was a character. I mean, he was bigger than life. And
he was
one of those guys that everybody loved. And
you know, before I came out to California, me and Glenn Campbell played in Albuquerque together before he came out and became a superstar. And so when Glenn came and got into the session scene, he was like Tommy in that they just loved having him on the session because he was so much fun. And again,
he wasn't a reader though. Tommy was like the greatest reader on the planet.
Yeah, well, none of us could read really, other than Tommy and maybe Barney Kessel and Howard Roberts. Those guys could read, but they couldn't play rock and roll because they came from the bebop background. So me and Burton and Glenn, we played in the clubs playing the hits of the day. So, you know, we would listen to Steve Cropper and all of these guys, and so we could play all that stuff.
And you're friends with Steve too, right?
No, not really. So I wish I was. I never met Steve because I'm a big fan of his. He's one of the guys who I pattern a lot of my stuff after because he added stuff to records that was part of the record. And when I got into the session scene, I didn't just go there to play rhythm. I wanted to play some licks. And so I wasn't afraid to say, well, check this out. And so I ended up doing a lot of solos and stuff because of my wanting to really add something that was part of the record. Like I did the Lionel Richie's Hello, you know. which has nothing to do with the record, but it worked as a solo. I never played the melody, I just played a solo, and it worked out for him. But,
so how many records, big-time records, do you think you've played on?
Well, I get a thing every year from a lot of different things. There's like 4 pages of stuff that I've forgotten about, you know. But you can go on allmusic.com, and there's, James Brown. I go back to James Brown.
You played on some James Brown stuff?
James Brown, Johnny Mathis, all of those kinds of stuff.
Wow.
Because, we were doing it every day, and that was back when all of these people needed session players, and the record companies had 300 artists on their label. Then they chopped it all down because everybody just wanted a Michael Jackson on their label, so they cut out all the guys that were just selling 250,000 records. They wanted to sell 40 million. So the guys that used to always use session players were guys like Sinatra and like I say, Johnny Mathis, all these solo artists.
The Beach Boys used some of the Wrecking Crew on that too.
Oh yeah, Hal and those guys were always on the Beach Boys stuff. That was just a little bit before I got here, so I didn't do any of that.
Your buddies with James Burton too, right?
Yeah. He was one of the first guys. Well, Glenn took me around when I first got here and introduced me to James and Joe Osborne and those guys. And so, yeah, he was one of the first guys I met was James. I think he's back in Louisiana now, too.
Yeah.
Living back there.
Where are you playing? You have a gig coming up here.
We're playing at the Baked Potato.
And when is that?
Over in this Wednesday night, the 12th. Wednesday the 12th, so.
Wow.
Of September.
Want to see some history?
And we got Randy Waldman. Do you know Randy? He's a keyboard player.
I know the name.
Oh man, he's just done so much great stuff. Ralph Humphreys on drums. And my good friend Bruce Kerr came with me. He's from New Zealand. He's going to be playing bass with us.
Nice.
And, Don and I, Randy owns the Baked Potato. And
he was part of the Wrecking Crew too, right?
I used to do session, Don. He's one of the very first ones. He's an old character, He's older than me, and I'm old as Methuselah.
Well, but, I'm right there with you, pal. So, they let us out of the home today. But,
yeah. But, we're looking forward to that gig. Like I say, Don Randy owns it. He's part of the Wrecking Crew. And he started that club. When I first came here, we had Shelley's Manhole and Dante's, quite a few jazz clubs. And then they all died. We were doing the music to Bloody Mama, I think, 50 years ago. And Don says, yeah, I'm starting a jazz club called the Baked Potato. And I thought,
why the Baked
They'll
Potato?
never go, man, Name it spaghetti and jazz or something. But so here we are 50 years later, and it's the only one that's still going and going strong. Has such history there. Larry Carlton, he did a lot of stuff there. And I'm meeting up with Larry next week in Nashville.
And we were talking about Jay Graydon too, who was an old friend of
Jay Graydon, yes. Jay played there a couple of weeks ago with Greg Matheson. So
Greg is something else too.
Yes.
He's incredible.
We're going to go hook up with Jay Graydon tonight and talk about some of our old stories and chew a bit of fat. He's quite a character.
Well, listen, I'm so glad to be able to bring this to you guys because play us a couple more of the things that, if you can remember the tunes.
I'll be there. Yeah.
How about any of the Marvin?
I want ABC, Jackson 5, and of course of the Boss Skaggs.
Beautiful stuff. Well, this is the guy who's been responsible for so many hit records. We're glad to have you back stateside.
Oh, it's fun to be back, and it's such a pleasure to come in here.
Thank you.
and
My
see all
honor.
these great guitars.
Louie Shelton right here, one of the
And
great.
if you got a 53 Telly, I'd like to take it home with me.
There you go.
I mean, 52 Telly.
50.
That was my first real guitar.
And you traded that off, right?
I traded it when I saw Chuck Berry. I had to go get a 350 blonde with the gold hardware, and I regretted it ever since.
Well, I've done a lot of crazy trades myself over the years, and a lot of stuff that I regret, a lot of stuff I'm happy I did.
Yeah.
But at least the music lives on, and you know,
yeah.
man, you know, some of the stuff you did was some of my favorite tunes of all time,
you.
and some of the most beautiful melodic stuff. And you produced a lot of people as well, too.
Yes, Art Garfunkel and Seals and Crofts and Jane Oliver, and a lot of the Australian bands. Now I live down in Australia now, so most of my work is down there.
So a lot of the younger, new Australian bands?
Yes. All the Southern Sons, Mother Hubbard. A lot of the stuff that hasn't been released here, but it does well in Australia.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, great Louie Shelton from the Wrecking Crew. Thank you very much, Louie. I appreciate you coming in here, and it's our honor at Norm's Rare Guitars to be one of the greats of all time.
Thank you. My pleasure.